TSA is a leading member of the UK Fashion and Textile Association, which is an important way in which we can work together with designers, manufacturers and retailers. Care labelling forms a very important part of that work, and it's my pleasure to introduce a good friend of mine, Adam Mansell, the Special Projects Director of UKFT, to discuss care labelling. Adam.
Good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon. Just to give you 2 seconds on me, which is the bit I obviously like talking about most. As well as being Special Projects Director at UKFT, I also sit on the board of Genitex, which is the organisation that owns the care symbols. And I also sit on all of the British, European and international committees that look after the standards for the care labels, the testing methods behind them, the testing methods for dry cleaning and all sorts of things like that. I've entitled this talk, P does not mean parking. And why have I said that? Because we did a European survey a couple of years ago of 10,000 consumers, and unfortunately 60% of them thought that the P in the circle meant parking. So what do the symbols actually mean? Why should you as professional cleaners look at all of the symbols? Why are you bothering with any of them other than just the ones that you know? Just very briefly, why do we have the symbols? Well, we have the symbols because, as everybody knows, this trade is an international trade. We need to have a system to educate both the retailers, the consumers and yourselves that doesn't involve language, because most of my members are selling throughout the world and they only want to put one set of instructions on. The symbols themselves were developed in the 1970s, and the whole care labelling system has been under constant review as technologies changed, as garments have changed, as detergents have changed. There's over 40 different symbols now with all the different varieties and variations. The symbols themselves are owned by this organisation called Genitex, and they're trademarked in 50 countries. Now, I've never known whether this is true or not, but rumour has it that back in the 1950s there were actually only 2 symbols. One was a fish and one was a cat. And if you had a fish on it, you could wash it, and if you had a cat on it, you couldn't. Now, whether that's progress or not, we've gone from 2 symbols to 40, I don't know. So what do the care symbols mean? Well, this one you should all know, the circle. It means professional textile care. But what's important for you guys is what's inside that circle. Now, the words up on here are not the words that are in the international standard ISO 3758. The words up here are what you should actually know. And if you want to write them down, don't worry, because if you go to the TSA stand just around the corner, all of these are on their care labelling poster, and it's got all of those wording on there. But a couple of things to highlight. Hopefully, as you all know, the P in the circle means you can clean it in perc or in hydrocarbon. The F means only hydrocarbon. But the thing that the F also means is that you shouldn't be using commercial solvent-based stain removers for the F. So it's not just about the main process, it's about the stain removal process as well. And as you all hopefully know, the line underneath means a mild process. And that mild process means a reduction in humidity and moisture and temperature. So you need to look at that one, you'll know what the circle is, you'll know that the different types of solvent that you can use. And I'll come back to why we've only got 2 solvents covered by the circle towards the end. As you heard earlier on, there's lots of developments in solvents, but at the moment we've only got symbols for perc and hydrocarbon. Again, you've heard about wet cleaning this morning. Again, hopefully, as you all know and as you've seen by the machines downstairs, professional wet cleaning isn't the same as washing it at home in a domestic machine. The machines are different, the detergents are different, the processes are different. If a garment's got a wash tub on it but doesn't have a wet clean symbol on it, you shouldn't really be sticking it in your wet cleaning machine. That's what the label means. There's 3 different types of the wet clean symbols. There's the normal one, the mild, which is where the temperature and mechanical action has been reduced, and the very mild, which is significantly reduced mechanical action. But it is important to note that the wet cleaning process and the domestic laundering process are different. The machines are different. Now these 2, I'm sure, will be, as professional cleaners, your most favourite symbols. I'm sure you see them on hundreds of garments, thousands of garments. And on behalf of the wholesale and retail supply of the industry, I'm sorry. Retailers do slap this on without testing, and they shouldn't. However, some retailers do test, and some retailers test absolutely everything. So occasionally, when it says don't dry clean, it actually means don't dry clean. It also means don't use spotting agents. So it's not just about the main process again, it's about the entire cleansing process. So do take notice of these symbols, because quite often they do actually mean what they say. Now at this point in the presentation you're probably going, well okay, that's dry cleaning, you did that in 5 minutes, if not less. Why do I need to take any notice of any of the other symbols? The reason you need to take care about all the symbols is because it's about the entire cleansing process. So it's not only about the solvent that you might be using, it's not only about whether you're washing it or professionally putting it in a wet clean system, it's about how you iron it. If you're anything like me, you used to think that ironing was just applying heat. Well, ironing can seriously and irreversibly damage the garment that you're cleaning. And you need to know what temperature you're supposed to be having your iron at, or your pressing table at. That first one, that 1 dot, not only does it mean that the iron should be at 110 degrees, it also means there should be no steam. No steam at all. So if you're using some of the pressing tables that you'll see downstairs that you all have in your shops, you shouldn't be using them if the garment has got this symbol on it. The other two symbols are about the sole plate temperature, so the 2 dot and the 3 dot. And again, obviously it has a corresponding, the higher the temperature, the tougher the fabric, to put it as simply as that, obviously. So the 3 dot you'll be using on linen, the 1 dot you'll be using on silk. Do not iron does mean exactly that, do not iron. It can have irreversible effects on the garment or on the fabrics. So again, you need to take care about all aspects of it. Drying. Why do you need to take notice of what the drying symbols mean? Again, because of the damage it can cause. The heat, if you tumble dry something at too high a setting, as you will know, you can irreversibly damage it, you can have felting from wool and all sorts of things. So you need to pay attention to what the drying instructions are as well. Certain garments you can't tumble dry, and you shouldn't tumble dry, and there is a new set of care symbols on the market. You won't see them very often because they're completely bonkers, which is these ones down here. A committee was set up to come up with natural drying symbols. It is all part of this greening of the cleansing process. It was felt we needed symbols to tell people how to dry their garments in the sun or not, because they might get damaged. I was on that committee, and I still think they're nonsense. You do need to, as you'll undoubtedly know, you do need to take care, because you can damage some garments by natural drying them. If you hang up a very wet woolen sweater, you'll stretch it. So again, it's just about taking care of what's on the garment label and making sure you're following all the different instructions. Now these ones are my favourite. These ones are my favourite because everybody knows what the wash tub means. It's everybody in the survey we did. 100% of people knew that the wash tub meant you could stick it in the washing machine, and they also tended to know what the temperature meant. There's 3 different varieties of wash tub. The normal one, the single bar and the double bar, and again the single bar and the double bar are about reduced mechanical action. Again, if you're offering laundry services in your shops, you need to take care, you need to pay attention to what it says, both in terms of the mechanical action and in terms of the temperature. The temperature can severely damage a garment, but the temperature that's in the wash tub should be the maximum that you can treat that garment at. There's a big push, and has been for a number of years, about reducing the temperature of washing. You've all heard about the Marks and Spencer's Wash It at 30 campaign. What it actually says, if you look at it, it says wash at 30 unless it's dirty. And the unless it's dirty bit is in very small words. So just pay attention to what it says. The hand wash symbol, I was intrigued about the presentation on the bead washing was like hand washing a million times. If you are hand washing, make sure you use the hand wash program in the machine, because it's much gentler. The most damage you can do to a garment is actually by physically washing it with your hands. So if wherever possible, you need to use the program on the machine. This one, hardly anybody knows what this one means. This is the bleaching symbol, and most people go, bleaching, what are you talking about? What this has, it started off by being the physical bleach that you'd get your white shirts and you'd empty bleach into it and it would make them whiter. What it now really means is pay attention to the detergent that you're using in your normal laundering process, because there are colour-safe detergents and there are non-colour-safe detergents. And what it really means, the one that you should really be paying attention to is this one, Because if it's got that one, it means you should be washing it in a colour-safe detergent. Now again, you could go back to some of the manufacturers and ask them why their dye staffs aren't fast, but it's easier to use the most appropriate detergent. So this is a very quick run through. There are only 5 major symbols, and I've pretty much covered them. We've heard earlier on this morning that there are all sorts of developments in the solvents and cleansing processes that you can use in the professional dry cleaning world. And you had a presentation from Tim, for instance, on Green Earth. Well, currently, none of the symbols that are on the garments would cover Green Earth. There is no direct correlation between either the F or the P or the use of Green Earth, and it's the same for other solvents that are out there as well. There's work going on to try and develop new test methods to make sure that the new solvents on the market can be used in exactly the same way as the current solvents. And it is assumed that there will then be some sort of change to the letters that go on inside the circle. The circle will still be professional clean, but what's inside the circle may change. I have to warn you that that will be a very long time coming. I was also sitting on the committee that developed the W in the circle for wet clean, and it took 10 years, believe it or not, for the international community to agree that we should have W in a circle for wet clean. So don't hold your breath, but we are doing our best. Because at the same time, the Americans are also changing their test methods as well, so we're hoping to work together. But both UKFT and TSA will keep you up to date with any developments that will be going on there. That I've mentioned already. This is the TSA guide to care labelling, which tells you exactly what you should be doing, particularly in a lot of detail for the F and the P. Do get hold of one of their posters. They are available for free, I think. Yep. And any questions you have about that sort of thing, both TSA or UKFT can help. So in summary, you need to know what the symbols actually mean. You need to think about the entire cleansing process. You need to use TSA wherever you can to keep you up to date, and you need to get a copy of their care labelling brochure. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be around for most of the rest of the afternoon, or quite happy to take them now.
Okay, thanks very much indeed, Adam.